Muchas gracias por la explicación de los conceptos técnicos y jurídicos de los smart contracts. Ahora pasamos con Jason para lo que es la parte del enforcement de los smart contracts. Jason, all yours.
Thank you. As I warned the panel, my Spanish is pretty awful. About 30 years ago, I tried to use Spanish in Mexico, and I'm not saying I ended up in jail, but I'll spare you that. I'll speak slow enough for the translators to be able to give you a good update. Smart contracts, from a technical aspect, are a simple if-then statement. That's it, from a coding perspective. That's all you really need to know if you're a coder. At the end of the day, broken down to the simplest form, it's if-then. Now, smart contracts can get very complex, as we saw with the DAO, D-A-W, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, where they were doing auto-executable investments in various cryptocurrency-related projects that were supposed to be invested into Ether-backed ventures. Is that fair enough to say, folks that follow the DAO? But what happened with the DAO? There was a problem with the code, right? And then what happened? Tens of millions of dollars were stolen, right? And then what happened? The immutable, irreversible, can never be impacted, never be affected Ethereum network got forked, right? So what did you have? You had a form of enforcement when the contract was breached, when the spirit of the contract was found to be invalid. There was a form of enforcement that was done how we used to do it before courts were implemented. That was the people saying, no, we're not going to go forward with this. We are going to modify what happened. We are going to undo what was done. And we are all going to participate in that. And that was in the form of the miners of Ethereum deciding to fork off and not carry that contract through. Is that about right? Everybody understands the concept? It didn't take a judge, it didn't take a jury, it didn't take a civil complaint, it didn't take one single lawyer to undo the theft that happened with the DAO. So why do you need us? Any questions? So let's look at how smart contracts can be used in everyday commerce. One of the things that we were discussing backstage, which I think could be very beneficial in commerce, in the grand commercial scheme of things, are shipping. The shipping industry is very large. So coders, if you're looking at how to incorporate the Internet of Things with a blockchain form of technology, and you're considering how to incorporate smart contracts, I offered to you the potential to eliminate fraud in bills of lading with shipping by attaching a GPS tag to a container, having it auto-execute and upload the arrival time of when it hits the port, having that fill in an auto-executable bill of lading, which then either gets hashed to the blockchain. I don't think we need another sidechain, do we? Right? We don't need another sidechain to do that, but we can hash that to the blockchain, have it auto-execute into a smart contract, and monies get transferred automatically, eliminating the fraud of the vessel that maybe arrived 2 days late but tried to fill out its paperwork that it was on time, or maybe eliminating the bank trying to say that the shipment was late even though the shipment arrived on time and denying payment. Smart contracts can be used in functions where it's if-then. If this happens, then execute that. In real estate, you had an excellent example with real estate. Escrow services, very simple. You can do smart contracts and escrow services, right? It's just an auto-executable function. At the end of the day, do you need a blockchain to do that? No, you don't. You don't. I'm sorry, it's just a database. The only reason you need a blockchain is when you have an issue of trust. One, what's another reason you need a blockchain? Anybody throw it out. We can participate, we can talk. When you're a startup company and you don't have multi-millions of dollars in order to invest in a huge Oracle system to run a database, right? You can distribute your processing power across multiple nodes in a blockchain type database environment. So low cost entry point when you're looking at launching a program where you're trying to do an Internet of Things type bill of lading program. So now that you have the convergence between legal contracts, real estate or shipping, and smart contracts, and we know that the smart contracts are fallible, as we saw in the DAO, what do you have in a regulatory environment? Well, we saw the DAO undid itself through self-regulatory environment, but you also have various international courts of arbitration that can handle it, but what do they know about blockchain technology? You have federal courts, state courts, various courts of different countries. How do they proceed? How do they understand what happened? I recognized this issue about a year ago, and I presented it to the Digital Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C., that an arbitration arm needed to be formed in order to have dispute resolution specific to blockchain technology, to where the arbitrators could be versed in the technology, understand the issues behind it. And what's another area that kind of causes pause within the blockchain community, right? And with mass adoption, scandal, right? Backbiting, competition, disputes, right? Who's going to adopt what? I'm on Telegram chat boards and they are, just back and forth, people hating on everybody, and that spills out into the world, and all that does is hurt the Bitcoin environment. A discrete arbitration type situation would allow for dispute resolution to be handled in-house without it spilling out into the world, and we can continue to develop without regulators standing over our shoulders and saying, hey, wait a minute, you guys can't even agree on whether or not you're going to go with Ethereum or Ethereum Classic. Right? So I offer that an arbitration forum based on blockchain with arbitrators that are skilled in blockchain could provide a solution. And yes, shameful self-promotion. I've started it, it's called decaf, because everybody needs to just calm down a little. And hopefully the website will be up and running in 2 weeks, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.